I'm back. I'm ready to talk about some shit. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's a frigid 28 degrees out here in Queens, New York, coming to you live. It's the morning afternoon live show with your host, me, coming at you right now. I'm a little rusty, but I'm here. It's been what, 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now since I've been live last time, but I am back. I'm back from my road travels, from my convention hopping, all that stuff. I'll share a little bit about my experiences and everything with all of you guys in a little bit, but I'm glad to be back here on a Tuesday. Here in the United States, we had a holiday yesterday. It was President's Day, out of all days. So, I took that to heart, really close to my heart. So what did I do on President's Day? Absolutely nothing.
You blew it! Fuck off!
Oh my, I'm sorry. But I did take some time out to rest and relax, because since I was last live here, I actually worked 2 conventions. So one in Florida. I drove all the way from here, New York, to Florida, and then back when it was all said and done. And then this past weekend, there was a small, and when I say small, it was a pretty small convention in the city. We basically worked it as a favor for somebody that my friend knew. It was 2 days. Well, if you count the amount of time we were actually there, I would say a day and a half, because it was so slow on Sunday that we just packed up early and left, because it was just not the right crowd for what we do and what we offer. We did get some submissions in on Sunday, which was cool. We were promised more, but we did get some. So at least that was that. We did meet some cool new people, and hopefully some long-lasting clients and everything. So that would be nice. But it was just, honestly, it just wasn't worth our time. And if it wasn't local to me, it only took, I could take the train right into the city, come back home and all that, no problem. But if it wasn't local, I probably would not have agreed to do it at all. I wouldn't have done it at all, one bit. The size of the convention room was the size of a standard hotel conference room. And I'm being generous when I say that. I'd be surprised if throughout the 2 days that 100 people came through. And mind you, because I was keeping eyes on things, there were many times when people were walking in and they didn't even pay at the door. Whoever they had working the little cashier thing there, most of the time she's on her phone, not checking to see who's got tickets or whatever the case is. Just came in and out, not even like, hey, you didn't pay. Not my problem, not our problem, but I'm sure whoever's running the show lost a lot of money out of all this stuff. Because to rent space in the city, granted it was a holiday weekend, maybe a bad choice to do that, because a lot of people who are in the city who would have probably came to this thing, they're away. They're on their own little vacation. They're on their own little trips. But just the amount of money spent there, plus I've heard after speaking to some people that a lot of the tables were given as a freebie just to show up. So I'm sure this person didn't make any money whatsoever. We'll see what happens. But MegaCon was definitely a different story, and I'll share my experiences with you guys about that a little later. But first, let me just quickly say hello. FiCon is here. FiCon, how you doing, buddy? Hope you've been doing well. I know you've been doing a lot of studies lately, a lot of things you had to prep for school. So hopefully you are done with that and you're clear and free. If you hang around just a little bit, I do have a very interesting story that is Star Wars related for you. A nice experience I had at MegaCon, and I'll share that with you in a little bit. PDQ also in the building. Know that feeling about slow crowds at a con? Yep. I know you do. It's just this one was just it was painful, man. It was most of the time us just sitting there. Now, granted, I got to meet someone that friended me on Instagram, and that was a cool little interaction that I got. And we did meet some people who have been doing with business with us through our app, and they just came up and say, "Hey, I have an order with you guys," and we're like, "Oh my god, that's awesome! You know, great to finally meet you," and blah 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 this and that, which was very cool. But that was like three different occasions, and then for the rest of the time, we're just sitting there, you know, twiddling our thumbs, talking to our neighbors, you know, on our phones and all that. So, and you know, it was bad weather over the weekend too. Like we had a lot of rain and snow, and they were kind of using that as an excuse. No, no, man. No matter what the weather is, if people want to go to your show, they'll go. They'll find a way to go. And I just think this thing was poorly marketed, badly timed with the holiday. Plus, it's so soon after a major convention that we know a lot of people went down to Florida for. Um, you know, so very soon after that. Now, I don't think that would have like hurt this little show much. But also there wasn't like a lot of huge names at this show. Grant, there were some people that if you are in the know and if you're into comics, you would know them, you know. Um and some of them I recognize, and some of them I didn't know was responsible for, you know, some of the art that they did, which was kind of cool to find out. But it just wasn't enough. You know, I felt bad for a lot of people when I was speaking to a lot of the vendors there, and they were telling me like they haven't made any sales, you know, for the most part. So it's you know it's hard to work these kind of businesses, you know, to do the convention circuit when there's not a lot going on. So so yeah, really not much to talk about with that one. But MegaCon was a totally different story. Ficon saying not the best, spent the whole night unable to sleep and vomiting. Oh my god, so sorry to hear that. Now during the day I have slept the whole day and right now got a fever, so I'm probably not sticking around for the whole stream. Oh my god, I'm so sorry to hear that, Ficon. Hopefully it's not like anything too serious. Sounds like you do have a bit of the flu. Hopefully it's not more than that, but I hope you feel better soon. I'm doing well, so I'll share this story with you right away because I know you probably have to go. One of the biggest highlights of MegaCon or any conventions I go to, you know, is the ability to meet people, right? This time around at MegaCon, we were hosting an artist and writer, very legendary person, Jerry Conway. If you're not familiar with his work or what he's done in Marvel Comics, in the history of Marvel Comics, one, he was responsible for introducing the Punisher for the very first time in Marvel Comics in Amazing Spider-Man back in the day. We're talking like 70s now at this point. But the one main thing that he's known for is that he's the guy responsible for killing Gwen Stacy. So he doesn't really do a lot of conventions. He is recovering from cancer right now. We think he's doing well, but he's definitely old, and you know you could tell he's struggling a little bit with his health. So he doesn't really go out to conventions much, and we were able to have him join us at our booth for 2 days straight, Friday and Saturday, and my main responsibility was to stay at the booth so that I can, you know, help facilitate a lot of the stuff that we have to do, monitor the lines, make sure that if anyone's getting their stuff graded, that we help facilitate that process while we still have people running around getting signatures and doing what we got to do for other clients, right? So I didn't go out and do much of that because I was stuck at the booth for the most part, but I was busy. So we had a client that, you know, several clients, I should say, that went out to meet celebrities, you know, and MegaCon was huge for celebrities. A lot of, you had the whole cast of Smallville there, the whole cast of the Flash TV series was there. You got some Stranger Things folks. Millie Bobby Brown was supposed to be there, but she canceled, so she didn't show up, which upset a lot of people. But Joseph Quinn was there. Now with the whole fever for Fantastic Four, a lot of people are dying to see him and get his autograph. especially on Fantastic Four related items, because that stuff is going to get hot later on. But one of the biggest highlights for me, or at least knowing that that they were there, was the entire cast of Skeleton Crew was there. All the little kids and Jude Law was there. Now, we had a client that had Funko Pops of all the Skeleton Crew characters, and he wanted all of their signatures, right? On top of, maybe some comics and all that. So we had somebody go out, and they were assigned to secure those signatures. Now, I told this person that when you come across this certain actress, the actress that plays KB on the show, her name, let me just make sure I say her name correctly. It is the character KB is played by Kiriana Crater. I think it's Crater or Crater, but her first name is Kiriana, right? Now, you've probably heard me say this on the show before. Kiriana's performance in episode 6 of Skeleton Crew was mind-blowing, and that was probably my most favorite episode of the entire series. Very heartfelt, very heartwarming, very emotional. I did cry. So I told our guy that when you meet her, tell her a message from me that her performance in episode 6 was so touching that she made an adult person cry. And he said, okay, no problem. I'll see what I can do. He comes back, secures all the signatures and all those things like that, right? And he told me the story. Now, Kiriana was there with her mom. So he said, hey, is that your mom? Mom, I want you to come here and hear this. A friend of mine, my coworker, colleague, wanted to give a special message to you saying that your episode 6 was his favorite episode, and you made a 40-plus-year-old adult male cry. And they were like, oh my God, really? Why? And because he said, your performance was just brilliant and, very heartfelt, very heartwarming, blah, blah, this and that. So they were taken aback. They were very grateful, and they were very happy to hear this. So much so that Kiriana told him, hey, I want to give him an autograph, on the house from me to him, and a huge thank you. So he allowed her to choose a special photo, and he came back and surprised me with this amazing photo of Kiriana as KB with a nice little autograph. And I know the green screen is going to mess this up a little bit, but basically it says, to Renee, let's go KB Nation. There you go. So that was like probably one of my main highlights from the show. And it's something that basically, I say this to everybody. Kindness goes a long way, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Now, when I have an opportunity to meet celebrities or people, and all that, I try my best not to like fanboy and, nerd out as much. All I want to do is say one thing to them, and I'm usually good to go from there, right? I've done this ever since I was younger. I used to work at Starbucks in Times Square when I was very young. And the amount of celebrities that came in and out of the store was insane. And you learn very early on that all you got to do is treat these people like normal people, like everyday people. And you'll have great conversations, great interactions with them. It's when you get a little bit too nutty that, they tend to, take steps back, and then maybe they won't interact as much. But kindness goes a very long way, and it doesn't cost anything. And I always try to bring up something that meant something to me or that stood out to me. Maybe not something that a lot of people would bring up. When Jude Law was there, I didn't have a chance to tell our guy to tell him this, but I remember way back in the day, I saw him do a performance on Broadway in his version of Hamlet. It was either Hamlet or Macbeth. I keep forgetting. But, I wanted to tell him that I thought his performance was brilliant. And I was wondering if he was ever going to come back to Broadway and do anything else. When someone went to see Brandon Routh, I just thought it would be funny to make Brandon Routh smile, say, tell him that I told him that he is a beautiful man. And he did tell him that. And according to him, he had a huge smile on his face and he felt very touched. I was like, oh, thank you. Again, these are just the small things that I just want to say, right? So I was very, very pleased and very happy to get this. It means a lot to me. I'm definitely going to frame this and put it up somewhere. I'm going to definitely put a post on Instagram. I haven't had a chance yet because I've just been so busy. And definitely tag her in it because now it's the second time that she made me cry because when I got this, I was pretty teary-eyed because I wasn't expecting anything. I never expect anything. So I thought that was very, very cool. PDQ saying glad he is recovering. That's in reference to Jerry Conway for a killer. That's right. I tell people that all the time, you know, especially a younger generation don't know who Jerry Conway is. So when they ask me, it's like, that's the guy responsible for killing Gwen Stacy. And there was like, oh my God, really? I was like, yep, that's the guy right there. He's the one that killed Gwen Stacy. So that's, you know, their eyes light up and all that stuff. You know, so it's really, really funny. Ficon saying all the kids' performance was very good. I agree with that. I definitely, especially the longer you got into the episodes, they finally got a rhythm going. That's why it was a shame it ended when it did, because I felt like the last 3 episodes were the epitome of the series. All of the performances were really good, and I felt like they were finally getting into their groove. So it was unfortunate to see it end that way, you know, because I wanted more after that. Ficon saying that's amazing. PDQ saying nice. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, just again, it's just those things that you don't really expect sometimes, and when you get surprised like that, it's really cool. And like I said, kindness goes far, you know, and you know, if you express kindness, then kindness gets returned to you. So yeah. So Jester is here. Jester has returned. Jester, I'm not sure if you were tuning in time, but one of my highlights from MegaCon was getting a free autograph from Kiriana Crater, the person who portrayed KB from Skeleton Crew. She gave me an autograph for free just because I expressed how much her episode 6 performance touched me and all that. Not in that way. Let's not get crazy, all right? But it was very emotional. So I shared my story about that situation. You can always go back and listen to it. So very, very cool stuff. Other than that, MegaCon was great. I met a lot of great new people, great people who are interested in the business and the app. We made a lot of people very happy. This one guy came back multiple times. We were able to get him signatures for Todd McFarlane, which is very difficult. Joseph Quinn, which was also very difficult. Some of the cast of The Flash, Arrow. What else did he come back for? Of course, Jerry Conway. He was very happy for that. We got him signatures for the guy who played Vecna on Stranger Things. He was there too. There was Ashley Eckstein, voice of Ahsoka. So we made a lot of people very happy, which was really great. So much so that even after the show, it's already been like over a week and a half now since then. We're still processing a lot of orders because of that. So very, very great turnout. Orlando, it's been a minute since I've been down there. The weather was great. The drive was an interesting drive. I told Jester when I was in Georgia that I was in his state. You know, the way it is that it's, what is it? A total of 18, 19 hours from here to Florida. So my middle point was North Carolina. So I made that stop, both going there and coming back. And in North Carolina, for those of you who don't know, if you're familiar with Limited Run Games, they are a company that they do a lot of remasters, remakes. They're all about physical media. I'm sure if you're into gaming, you probably have bought something that they put out there in the last 5-6 years. They have a retail location. The only retail location they have is in North Carolina. So I was able to visit it and check it out. I took some video. I'm planning to do a video, post a video about it on the channel. So stay tuned for that. Also, I have to say this, and Jester, you'll probably appreciate this. I am in love with Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is like the Disney World of gas stations if you are ever on road trips or on the road. It is phenomenal. I fell in love with it so much. I went twice, to buy snacks, to buy food, to buy anything I could pick up. I got a hoodie, I got sweatpants, I got a stuffed animal. I just went ham. I just went ham in that place. That place is amazing. The gas prices aren't too bad either. It is one of the best bathrooms I have ever seen for a rest stop or for a gas station. It is freaking phenomenal. It really is Disney-like quality. Disney-like quality for gas stations and for rest stops if you're on the road. So if you ever come across one or you see one, they're very spread out. But if you have a chance, definitely stop by and check it out. Their barbecue sandwiches, I had their, was that all meat, which is like sausage, brisket, the works, right? I had that and it blew my mind. It was so good. It is definitely an American establishment that needs to be checked out if you ever have a chance to. So I am in love with Buc-ee's. Jester saying that's awesome. Jester movie recap. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. It's been a while, so I want to hear what you've watched recently, Jester. PDQ's like, Buc-ee's, Beaver is our savior. Damn right he is. I got my airplane pillow from there. That's awesome. Jester saying Buc-ee's is awesome, but the smell at mine is nauseating. Why is that, Jester? I'm curious why the smell is that bad by you. Buc-ee's are all over down here. PDQ, if you don't know, is in Texas. So yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I just never had, we don't have Buc-ee's on like the Northeast here. Most of it really is more towards the South or towards the West, right? So I think I saw one on my drive to Colorado once, but we didn't have a chance to stop by, right? Plus I was hungover and I was just not in the proper mindset for it. But this time around, I made sure to do that. And yeah, watch out. I'm probably going to end up doing a video about that on the channel as well. Along with, I finally got the chance to check out Ollie's. Now, if you don't know what Ollie's is like one of those bargain department stores. I don't know if you could call it a department stores, but it's like a bargain liquidation store. They get a lot of liquidation items or unsold items for a lot of companies. And they sell it at very, very cheap prices. It's also a low-key great place to go to if you're a toy collector. Because a lot of the Disney stuff that doesn't sell in other locations, they all end up, it looks like they all end up at Ollie's. Because I saw so many things at Ollie's. And I picked up some stuff. I saved a bunch of money. I'll do another video recap about all that. It is, if you're ever in, looking for Star Wars action figures, Marvel action figures, but you don't want to pay like the huge prices, but you want to complete collections, and you have an Ollie's near you, go to Ollie's. Majority of all their stuff is 50% off, if not more. Also, a low-key great place for books and graphic novels. They had the entire Watchmen collection, which I think it retails for like over $125. They were selling it for like $30. I didn't pick it up because I already have multiple versions of Watchmen combined collection, but I just saw that price and I was like floored by it. It was just insanity. So I highly recommend checking out Ollie's, Buc-ee's, all that stuff. So yeah, the drive was a fun one, even though it was long and tiring, which is to be expected. But if you plan it correctly, I also learned a lot because I haven't done one of these in a very long time, especially by myself. Going down there, I made a mistake and I paid too much in tolls. Coming back, I learned to avoid most of that stuff, so I saved a lot of money. So if I am ever to do it again, I know how to do it without spending too much. So yeah. So Jester's saying there's so many meats mixed together and all these sweaty Southerners in there too. I didn't mind the meat smell. I thought that, maybe it's also because I was hungry every time I went in there. So I was just drawn immediately to all the food and all the snacks. I mean, I have snacks galore. I got some jerky. I got some of the beaver nuggets. I know that sounds pretty dirty, but It's not what you think it is. It's actually a good snack. I got some of the honey roasted nuts, the cashews, all those things. Uh, yeah, I went crazy, and maybe it was a mistake to go in there when you're starving, because then everything just looks good. But I had a blast. I had a blast, and like I said, it's one of the best bathrooms you'll ever have a chance to go in there on, especially if you need to go. So. All right, Jester sharing his recap, and then when we're done with that, we'll go into some our main topics. Obviously, the main topics today will be Captain America: Brave New World. I'm going to go over what happened over the weekend, especially the holiday weekend with the box office and all that stuff, and then I'm going to talk about the movie because I did have a chance to see it on Friday. That was my own solo Valentine's date, going to the movie theater to watch Captain America, and it was a thing, and I'll talk more about that later. Jester, okay, so these are the recent movies that Jester has watched recently, or since we last streamed here, and these are all first-time watches. So, The Notebook, Dead Poets Society, My Cousin Vinny, The Good Guys, Schindler's List, wow, and Captain America: Brave New World. Okay, you got some heavy hitters in this list here. So I'll tell you what. Out of this entire list, the only movies I never saw yet is The Notebook, because I'm never like a rom-com guy, so I have not had a chance to see that yet. And The Good Guys. Now, if I know which one you're talking about, The Good Guys is that the Russell Crowe, Russell Crowe, and I forgot who else is in there. Let me know if that's the one I'm thinking of. Ficon, I'm gonna leave now. Try to get some sleep. Gotta really. All right, Ficon. Hey, Ficon. I really hope you feel better soon. Hopefully it's just something that's going to pass and not linger on too much. So get better, bud. So yeah. So my quick thoughts on a lot of these. My Cousin Vinny is one of those comedic gold. Like it's just gold, like S tier comedies out there. Really, really great performances. Obviously, it's the first time we ever got to see Marissa Tomei. Came into the forefront there and into people's minds for the first time. So My Cousin Vinny is a classic, in my opinion. Dead Poets Society, again, another classic there. Schindler's List is probably one of Spielberg's best movies that you can only watch once. It is just emotionally taxing to you when you watch it. And especially his little tribute at the end. Whenever directors do something that is so personal and huge, that is sometimes a tough subject matter or something that is just very emotionally heartbreaking, I always say that is their Schindler's List, because Spielberg has never made a movie similar to what he did with Schindler's List, and he probably never will, but it is such an amazing movie that, like I said, it's a tough watch, and you can only watch it once, really. I have never gone back to it since I first saw it, but I'll never forget it either. It is just so emotionally draining. But again, great story, great performances all across the board. Obviously, great directing. I kind of say that Brady Corbet, the director of The Brutalist, in the talks now for like a lot of Oscars and all that, that's his Schindler's List. And if you watch the movie, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. But I love everything there. So I'm curious what you thought about all the movies you saw. It's the one with Russell Crowe, and yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, and Ryan Gosling. Yeah, that's so I haven't had a chance to watch that movie yet. I hear decent things, but I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. But The Notebook is what basically brought Ryan Gosling to the forefront, to a lot of people's hearts and minds, and the rest is all over after that. And then now you see him in so many things. Dead Poet Society also is the first time we got to see Robin Williams, take a break from full-on comedy and do something a little bit more dramatic, right? So that's one of the things that it's hard to say that it's a shame that we didn't see more of it, but we didn't get to see it in its full fruition when Robin Williams was venturing more into drama. And then in his later years in life, not only was it drama, but it was also kind of like thriller horror genre in a way. He was definitely being very experimental with the roles that he would take on. So it's a shame we really didn't get to see more and more and more of that, because I thought he did a really good job in a lot of those roles. So definitely one of the pivotal moments of his career, doing that switch. And of course, he did Good Will Hunting, and and then there's so many other ones that he's done after that. It's a really good comedy. The Good Guys you're referring to? I thought you were referring to the to Schindler's List. Sorry, I had to. And we could definitely talk more about Captain America: Brave New World in a little bit when I get into that discussion on the stream here. So, but what are your ratings, Jester? Like, give us your letterbox ratings on all these movies you just saw recently. While you do that, I'll have some of my coffee. By the way, I also have to say that when I stopped at my last visit to Bucky's, I only had a chance to visit it twice, two different ones. Again, it shows you how popular it is. I saw a bus full of what do you call oh my god, what do you call them? Not Mormons. They usually live like they don't deal with electricity. What do you call them? Amish. The Amish, like a bus full of Amish people were visiting Bucky's, and it looked like they were having a grand old time. I'm sure they were like very, very surprised with all the stuff they could find at a store like that. The Notebook was surprisingly good. I have always put off watching this film because it just seems like an overrated romance, but it was really good. 8.9 out of 10. All right. So you just gave us an IMDb rating scale, and not your typical letterbox scale. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah, The Notebook is what everyone kind of refers to as like the perfect rom-com, right? Or romance story. I don't know how much comedy is in there, so maybe you can't call it a rom-com, but it like rom-dram, romance drama. I feel like that's a go-to for a lot of people. And those who've seen it have said nothing but great things about it. I never sat down and watched it because, again, I'm not much of a romance movie guy. Would love to hear your thoughts on the other. Also, if you're watching live, don't forget, hit that like button. It would be greatly appreciated. Everyone here in attendance will appreciate it as well. It helps with the algorithms here on YouTube, gets more people viewing, and all of that stuff. Grows the community, makes us very happy and whole. So don't forget to do that when you get a chance. Dead Poets Society wasn't as good as the hype, but it was still a stellar film. I expected more from Robin Williams, but I'm glad with what I got. 9.7 out of 10. It's funny. You say it wasn't as good as the hype and wasn't stellar, but you gave it a 9.7 though out of 10. So very, very interesting thoughts there about that movie. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie. That movie came out in 89, I want to say 90, like around that time. I haven't seen it probably since then. I wonder what a rewatch would look like when I do that. While you're providing your thoughts and all that of everything you watched recently, I haven't had much of a chance to watch anything the last couple of weeks. I was really hoping by the time I stream, I could talk about the new Spider-Man animated series that I haven't had a chance to see yet. Cobra Kai with its final part of the final season coming out. I haven't had a chance to see that yet. What is this? White Lotus, the new season just started over the weekend. I haven't had a chance to see that yet either. So I'm so behind on stuff. But what I did see is I saw the SNL 50th anniversary celebration show that they did over the weekend. Um, it's so funny to me that a sketch comedy show like that has been around for 50 years. Um, it survived the test of time and it has touched many generations. And when they do the celebrations, it's not really for the audience like us. I feel like it's a celebration just for everyone involved in the show. Because if you look at the crowd, it's all celebrities, past hosts, uh, people who've worked behind the scenes, people in Hollywood in the industry. It's almost like the Oscars, really. It's like the Oscars of prime time or late night television. It's a celebration just for them to enjoy. And it's just so fascinating to see all the different people involved and how they have grown and who aren't with us anymore. I'm a huge SNL fan. I've said this before many times, and it was fun to watch. It was definitely fun to watch. It wasn't. It's more like a trip down memory lane for a lot of reasons. They brought back a lot of similar sketches. I love the fact that this time Eddie Murphy was in a lot of sketches. Like, he allowed himself to do that. Because one of the biggest controversies before is when they did the 40th anniversary, I believe it was, or the 45th. He showed up, but he didn't do any sketches because he didn't want to. And I think because he was kind of nervous as to how people react, because he hasn't done live comedy like that in a very long time. But since he's been like doing a lot more recent movies again, and he's trying to come back, he allowed himself to be a part of sketches, which was fantastic. I mean, his Tracy Morgan was a lot of fun. I thought it was really hilarious when he did that prison thing. He dropped the F-bomb on live television, which I thought was hilarious. So he brought some of that rawness back, and I thought it was great. But it was just great to see a lot of people come back and celebrate the show. Aubrey Plaza just showing up to introduce the band, Miley Cyrus and the other lady. I thought that was very touching, especially with what she's been going through lately. Just seeing the old generation interact with the newer generation as far as like cast members, that's always a treat to see. So yeah, if you're a fan of SNL, definitely check it out if you haven't yet. I haven't watched the musical special that they did, but the show itself, it's 3 hours long, so be mindful of that. But that was a lot of fun. Definitely worth the watch, in my opinion. PDQ saying his Tracy Morgan was great. Yeah, I agree. All right. While we wait for Jester to share more of his thoughts and ratings on his other movies, might as well just dive in to the main our first main topic. And obviously every week I do this, what's the deal. And let's go over the box office breakdown from this past weekend. And of course, it's no surprise really that Captain America Brave New World was going to claim the top spot here. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm here once again on thenumbers.com, the site I use for all of the data and box office numbers and all that stuff. I'm going to be using a combination of this and Box Office Mojo only because they have the latest estimates for yesterday. This chart we're looking at right now is just Friday through Sunday. But like I said, it is a holiday. So we should include Monday as well as far as numbers are concerned. And yeah, see, they're just slowly updating their daily numbers for yesterday. So we're going to use Box Office Mojo for that. But like I said, number one was Captain America Brave New World. Domestically, over the 3-day weekend, it pulled in $87.8 million domestically. If you were to include Monday, yesterday, you could add an additional 12.2 million there. So roughly, I think it's safe to say that Captain America Brave New World ushered in close to $100 million at the box office this past weekend, which is a decent opening for an MCU film. I'm sure they were hoping for more, especially since this is the first proper MCU film that we got in 2 years. I don't count Deadpool and Wolverine because I feel like that is in itself a standalone release within the MCU, but it really had no ties to any current MCU storyline or phases or anything like that. Now, I saw that movie as more of an homage to like the Fox universe. We finally have Deadpool in MCU. We got to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again. We got to see throwbacks and all that stuff. It was a standalone movie on its own, had nothing to do with any of the MCU stuff. So, for a 2-year absence of an MCU proper movie and to come back now with $100 million opening, it's not bad, but at the same time, it's not great. I'm sure they are kind of concerned, especially now that we have Fantastic Four following up in several months. And it's this was supposed to be the litmus test as to what the general audience feels about the current MCU and if they're wanting and willing to go and watch these movies still. Now, this kind of shows you that they are, at least a certain amount of them are, but with certain reactions after the fact, we'll see how that is going to play out with the MCU and Marvel moving forward, because this is not, I think, in my opinion, what they were hoping for. And it's kind of disappointing when you ask my opinion. Quick update, Jester saying My Cousin Vinny was all right. It was good comedy though, 7.6 out of 10. Oof, lower than I thought you would say. The Good Guys was actually really good. I liked the use of comedy and the writing was great. Ryan Gosling needs more comedic roles, 8.9 out of 10. I tell people all the time, if you want to see Gosling do a good mix of comedy and action, you got to check out Fall Guy. Fall Guy is like one of the best things he's done, outside of like La La Land and Drive. That is like a great example of how Gosling can do comedy mixed in with action in there too. So definitely check it out. Coming in second place is Paddington in Peru. I'm surprised this didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do. 12.8 million domestically. If you include yesterday, maybe add another 3 million there, as the estimates say here, for roughly, we could say $16 million over the weekend. With how much people love the first two Paddington movies, I really thought that this was going to do more than that. So I'm really kind of surprised, but it also kind of shows you too that we're in this weird space right now when it comes to family-friendly films. Yes, parents, kids, they still are willing to go to movie theaters to watch a movie like this. But I still think there is a huge portion of the audience that when it comes to films like this, they rather wait to watch it at home, to avoid the hassle of bringing their kids to the theaters and all that. So this could be an example of another case like that. International wise, look at this. It's night and day at this point. Internationally, now I think this has been out a little earlier. Internationally, I think the international release was a little sooner than us here in the States. So yeah, like I'm seeing like a lot of openings in January, Australia, China. They got it in January. So a lot of like the European nations and overseas countries have already seen this movie. But it's pulled in $150.8 million internationally. So the worldwide box office is $131.8 million for Paddington. So I think that is a great number for them for a movie like this. And maybe this is the type of movie that will still have legs moving forward. I've never seen any of the Paddington movies personally. That is definitely something I need to catch up on. A lot of people love the first two movies. So I don't know what the reaction really is with this one. If you had a chance to see it, definitely let me know. Going back real quick to Captain America, international box office for Captain America is $92.4 million. So worldwide right now, currently, for Captain America Brave New World is $180.2 million. So, okay, I would say for Marvel and Disney. Like I said, I don't think this is what they were expecting, though. I'm pretty sure they were hoping for more. So again, we'll talk more about my thoughts on all of those things. Coming in third place is Heart Eyes, another horror film from Sony Pictures, $10 million over the weekend, $21.5 million domestically so far overall. It also pulled in an additional 1.1 million yesterday, so not so bad. I've heard mixed things about this. I know some people were looking forward to this, and they were kind of disappointed. If I have a chance, I will definitely check it out. But I haven't had a chance to see this yet. Coming in fourth place is Dogman, the animated movie from Universal, 9.7 million over the weekend, an additional 2.8 yesterday. So domestic total so far, $66.8 million. Internationally, 17.6. Here's an updated number. So 70.4 domestic, 17 internationally, with a worldwide box office total of $88.1 million. So not bad. Not too shabby there for a property not a lot of people know about. But funny enough, as of today, this week, you can now watch this premium on demand. So if you don't want to go out there and watch it, you could watch it at home, and you could purchase it or rent it. Going back to Jester, his updates on the movies that he just watched recently. Schindler's List was phenomenal, a long watch, but absolutely Spielberg's magnum opus, 10 out of 10. Yes, I agree with you on that for sure. I think at the end of the day, when Spielberg calls it quits, when they do a career retrospective, of course you're going to hear people mentioning Jaws, mentioning E.T., and several other of his films along the way. I do think Schindler's List will be his main talking point as far as the epitome of his career, of what he's done out there. And this is a guy that's done a lot in his career. It's definitely his main movie that I think he will be remembered for. Jester saying, I'll save Captain America rating till we get to that section of the live. Awesome. So we'll definitely talk more about that. Back here on the charts, we have a new movie coming in fifth place, Niza 2. I think this is a Chinese movie. From China. It looks like it's an animated movie. I've not heard about this movie one bit, but apparently it did pretty decently to land in the top 5. $7.3 million domestically. I'm pretty sure this is killing it at the China box office. Holy guys, it's made $1 billion internationally. Wow. Where I'm sure majority of that is China. Yeah, no shit. This has been out since January 29th in China, and it has made $1 billion at the China box office. There you go. So very, very interesting to see. I guess the reason why it's finally out here in the States is because of how well it's been doing overseas. But I'll be honest, I have not seen this movie playing at any of my local theaters. So I have a feeling you have to be, one, in a very, very big metropolitan city, and two, you got to be in those theaters where they would play a lot of these things at. So very interesting to see. Coming in sixth place is Mufasa, the Lion King, even though this week, now you can enjoy this at the comfort of your own home. For last weekend, it pulled in $4.2 million domestically. Yesterday, it pulled in another $1 million. So overall, $240.8 million here domestically during its run since the holidays. International, it pretty much doubled for a worldwide box office total of $686.2 million. I don't think it's going to get any higher than that now that it's available for premium on demand. So that is going to be, that's definitely one of the success stories of the holiday season for Disney, is Mufasa, the big show out from Mufasa. And again, mediocrity, it doesn't matter how good a film is, it could still make money and bank at the box office, as long as the IP is well known and beloved. So there you have it. AKB Mobile also in the house. What's going on, man? I hope you're doing well. 1 second. When did Dogman release in theaters? So how long was that between initial theatrical and home release? So here's the funny story with all that, because right now I feel like it's still the Wild West when it comes to studios trying to figure out when to release things at home. Dogman came out in theaters, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can tell you exactly when right now. We'll go in here. We'll go into when it first came out. January. We got previews on the 30th, and January 31st, which I believe was a Friday, is when it was released. Did $10 million on its opening day. So this has only been out for several weeks. And, certain studios, they make the call. They said, well, I don't think it's going to get much more at the box office. Let's release it at home as soon as possible. Then you got other studios like Disney who plays around with the fact. Inside Out 2 last year, they said, you know what? We're going to play a game. We'll see how much we can gather at the box office, and we will prolong the release of digital for 6 months. And it worked to their benefit because they made a lot of money with Inside Out 2. Mufasa came out during the holiday season. Now they decide it's the right time to release Mufasa on Premium on Demand. Now, not on Disney Plus yet, but at least now you can purchase it on digital. So right now it's a studio game as to they play the box office game, and they look at these numbers and they say, all right, it's at a point where I don't think we're going to get so much more out of this. So let's release it as soon as possible for home video markets so that at least we can get more money from that audience. Because data and whatever they look at on a weekly, daily basis is telling them that they're probably not going to get any more attendance for these showings. So that's when they decide to do all that, And Wolfman is another great example. Wolfman came out in January, and literally 3 weeks later, it was already available on demand. So it's all a studio game right now. Before, there was a standard 6-month window, 6 month to a year window for a movie to release in theaters, and then once it's done with its release, you will see it then on the home video market, whether it was a DVD, Blu-ray, now with digital. But then the pandemic is what changed the game. The pandemic is when obviously no one was going to the theater. So you had to rush things on digital as fast as possible. And they were seeing success to certain levels. You remember when Black Widow was available to watch on Disney Plus, but you had to pay an additional $20-$30 to watch this movie, even though you're a Disney Plus subscriber? Does anyone even remember that anymore? That obviously didn't last very long. But still, people bought into it because they want to see the new movie and not risk themselves going to the theater. So I feel like the pandemic definitely threw things off big time. And studios still have not figured out what that sweet spot is. They're playing around with it. They're playing around with these windows. There's no standardization anymore. So will we ever get back to the point where we know for a fact, okay, a movie's out, give it 3 or 4 months, it's going to be available at home? No, we don't know, because now certain movies will be available in 2 weeks. We just never know. A movie like that, like another big movie that came out, well, big in my opinion, another movie that came out this week is The Last Showgirl, right? Which is Pamela Anderson's kind of comeback film that a lot of people were buzzing about. This film originally came out, I want to say October, November of last year. We are now just getting it on demand right now. And that is a small independent film, right? It's not even like a major blockbuster or a major studio release. So it really, really depends. It depends on market. It depends on who's willing to fit the publishing for a movie like this for a home release. And then when it's a bigger, major studio, how much more they can benefit box office versus home. So it's an interesting time we're in right now. And if you're a fan of the theater experience, if you're a fan of cinema, and you're like me and you're watching how much money movies make on a weekly basis, it's kind of off-putting because, when you put it out there that a movie can be available at home in 2 weeks, it's going to hurt your box office intake, because a lot of people, like I said, for example, Paddington in Peru, I thought that was going to do much more. But I think a lot of people have that mindset that if I wait a couple of weeks, maybe I could just watch this at home. So I don't know. It's hard to say. The difference between what we're seeing now and, like, let's say, for example, last year with Inside Out 2 and even Deadpool and Wolverine is that Disney came out and straight out told us this is going to be exclusive to theaters for a while. Don't expect this to be available on demand anytime soon. So they put the word out there, so people were kind of quote unquote forced to see it in the theater, and multiple times if they wanted to see it again. So, it's a crazy world we live in for that. AKB also saying 1 billion USD or Chinese for that movie. It's 1 billion US dollars. That's all converted US dollars I'm looking at. AKB also saying, totally get that the studios are playing games to figure out how to get the most money. 3 weeks ago is the fastest I've ever heard of. It's fast, but again, I've seen it happening. Wolfman, again, is a great example of that. Another movie that was available this week for the first time is Companion. Companion came out 2 weeks ago. So a movie like Companion, starring Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid, that movie came out around the same time Dogman came out, right? And then I think it had more of its rollout on February 2nd going into the 4th. So, we're seeing a lot of these things happening, especially we're earlier on in the year. A lot of the movies that are released in cinemas right now won't have much legs. These are kind of like the smaller movies that they aren't expecting much box office intake. So the faster that these studios can get them on digital, I think the better for them, because more people will be willing to watch it at home, spend their money and all that, and then they can get more of that revenue intake for that. So yeah, like I said, it is definitely an interesting time for all of this. But yeah, we'll be seeing the Wild West is going to continue until one or two studios really puts their foot down and say all of their releases are going to be in theaters exclusively for 6 months. If more studios get on that trend, you'll see others follow suit, and then we'll get back to that kind of routine that we're accustomed to. But right now, there's no one like. I thought Disney was going to lead the way, but then they started like going back and forth with, first Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, we'll wait for a while, and then Moana. And then they are like, all right, we'll release this on video sooner. And then now Mufasa. All right, we'll release this now sooner than that. So yeah, very, very interesting times. So going back here, so yeah, like I said, Mufasa is available on demand this week. So expect these numbers to start dwindling down because now people can watch it at the comfort of their home. Coming in 7th place is Love Hurts. This is the Ariana DeBose and Ke Huy Quan movie from Universal. I haven't had a chance to see this yet, but it pulled in $4.1 million domestically over the weekend. An additional, let's see here, $530,000 on yesterday for roughly around, I guess you could say, let's just say $5 million in total for a domestic run of 12.1 so far. Another one of them days. This is the Keke Palmer comedy that released in January from Sony Pictures. Still pulling in money, $3 million of the weekend, 43.5 domestically so far. The before mentioned Companion, one of my favorite movies of the year so far. So if you have a chance to watch it this week, definitely check it out. Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid are brilliant in this movie, and Sophie just completely, she kills it. That pulled in 1.8 million domestically over the weekend, 18.7 million domestically so far. Rounding out the top 10, we have Becoming Led Zeppelin, which I believe this is a documentary from Sony Pictures. Let me take a look. Yeah, this looks like this is one of just documentary concert-like movie experiences. Pulled in 1.7 million over the weekend, 5.3 domestically so far. Just outside of that, we still have Flight Risk, the Mel Gibson directed Mark Wahlberg movie from Lionsgate, 1.5 million over the weekend, 27.8 domestically so far. That is also available on demand. So I'm pretty sure we're slowly going to see that disappear completely. So that is the overall box office numbers for this past weekend. And my prediction right now, I'll say this as we wrap this portion out. Captain America is going to have a 60% drop this weekend. I think everyone who wanted to see it saw it already this past weekend. I think those who are curious about it will hear the word of mouth. We'll see the reviews online. And it's mixed. And I'm being kind. It's mixed right now. So I think that will totally persuade them either to wait or try to check it out in theaters this weekend. This weekend, the only other big movie that we have coming out is Monkey, the latest movie from Osgood Perkins, who brought us Long Legs last year, which was, again, one of my favorite movies from last year. I'm also hearing mixed things about Monkey. This is a Stephen King adaptation, so it's another thriller horror. But like I say all the time, the months of January and February are perfect for horror movies because there's always a bunch of people who will go out and support horror movies when they come out. Let's not forget, Megan came out in February, I believe it was, and that killed it. So this is a good chance that maybe Monkey will do well. But other than that, there's no major release happening this week. So it will still do well, but I am expecting at least probably, I'll try to be as fair as possible, 50 to 60% drop off from this past weekend. And in my opinion, for good reason, because there's a lot to be said about Captain America Brave New World. So why don't we get into that right now? So Captain America Brave New World, as I've mentioned before, it's been 2 years since we had a proper Marvel MCU film. Again, I don't count Deadpool and Wolverine because Deadpool and Wolverine was kind of like a standalone. Hey, everybody, here's Deadpool. He's in the MCU. He's in our MCU. But this was also like an homage to close out all the stuff and all the possibilities from the Fox universe, right? We got to see Hugh Jackman again. We got to see Daphne Keane again. We got to see a whole cast and crew of characters that we all fell in love with in the Fox universe. And saying, hey, we acknowledge you. We acknowledge the fans. We acknowledge that these characters are awesome. And maybe you'll see them again. Or maybe you won't, but at least you got to see them one last time, one last ride, right? So off into the sunset, future possibilities, boundless. We never know what's going to happen, right? But the last proper MCU movie we got was The Marvels, with Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, and whatever you call the other Marvel, Pulsar, pulsating Cosmo Girl, I don't know, whatever the case is, right? I'm a little bitter because I don't think she deserves that moniker just yet, because we didn't see her progress to get to that point, right? That movie obviously was a disappointment for a lot of people. It was there was a little bit too much comedy, a little bit too much tongue-in-cheek, some seriousness. I did like the chemistry amongst the three female leads. A very, very, very weak villain, which has been a problem with the MCU for a very long time. So obviously it bombed. Plus, they spent close to $300 million on that movie. The budget was insane. The return was very poor and very weak. So obviously it's what helped cause Marvel, Kevin Feige, Bob Iger to we need to take a step back. We need to reevaluate what we're doing here. We need to kind of figure out a good balance of output, but quality output, right? Reel back a little bit on the Disney Plus series, pause that a little bit, and it led us to get a good solid year and a half of nothing. Now, we did get still Disney Plus series because we had to, because that was already done, and they had to release them eventually, right? To very mixed success, right? I think you ask anyone who's watched any of the recent Disney shows, they'll tell you either they really liked it was okay, or it was plain out sucked. Or in my case, like for example, Agatha All Along, I have not yet seen it yet, which is rare for me because I watch everything that they put out. That I'm at that point now where I'm very hesitant, right? But at least with the movies, it's like an easy, especially for a movie like this, it wasn't even 2 hours long. It was shy 2 hours. And I feel like, all right, let me go out there. Let's see if Marvel has learned their lesson. And let's see. There was anticipation for this movie, because again, I think a decent amount of people like Anthony Mackie as Captain America, So plus the intrigue of Harrison Ford in the movie now, playing General Ross, and of course we were teased that he's going to turn into the Red Hulk and how that was going to play out and everything. And I'll say this. I'm glad it was 2 hours or just shy of 2 hours, because even then it felt long to me. Guys, this movie wasn't great. Yeah, it wasn't good. And I'm going to explain why. You have a movie like this, and in a way, it kind of reminds me of Secret Invasion. We were waiting for a movie like this, of this caliber, because if you look in the past, the Captain America centric movies were like great conduits into what we're going to see for the next phases, right? When we got First Avenger, the title says it all. First Avenger, right? We're in a moment where we are forming the Avengers for the first time, and of course, we need a leader. When First Avenger came out, this gave us a sense of like, this is going to be our main Avenger right here, our leader. So we could kind of see where this is all going to go from here, right? When Winter Soldier came out, that ushered in another part of the MCU where we could kind of see where things are going from there. Plus, it gave us a good sense of what you can do with a superhero movie. You got the political intrigue, you got the action sequences, you got a lot of these things going on for itself, and they executed it extremely well. The Russo brothers, right? So we have a lot of them to thank for. Then we got Civil War. And again, you look at it where this came out, and I guess this is one of the criticisms that also the Captain America series has always had, is that it never felt like it was a standalone Captain America movie, because it also included so many other characters that it was almost like an Avengers 1.5, Age of Ultron 2.6, whatever you want to call it, right? It is an additional Avengers big event movie. And I don't know if this is Marvel's fault for making it this way, and then maybe we're expecting the same out of Brave New World. It's in the title, Brave New World. So we're expecting something brand new and something that will usher in us into this new world. We're saying they're all saying, right? But when we got Civil War, all right, conflict between Tony and Cap, the Sokovia stuff and all those things. The Avengers are not looked upon in a bad light. Government interference, blah, 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 this and that. Intrigue, all that stuff. Great, great storytelling, right? Now you get us into Captain America Brave New World. And the only thing we had leading into this really was the Captain America series, Captain America and Winter Soldier, right? And we can kind of see where things are going. But I think it's safe to say, at least in this current phase of the MCU that we're in right now, it's all over the place. It's very mixed. We got this going on here. We got this going on there. We got that going on over there. We got this one over here. Oh, don't forget, we also got this one back here. All we know, at least overall, is that at one point we were supposed to get a Kang Dynasty that's now completely out the window thanks to Jonathan Majors and him, with his bad temper outside in real life. Then we were introduced to RDJ's coming out as Doom, which I still think is not the main Doom, but now we're getting a Doomsday event movie, right? And then we were told that the next major Avengers event will be Secret Wars, all right? Which anything can happen, blah, blah, this and that. But how are we going to get there, right? So Brave New World, Captain America, Brave New World. This is going to be the new world we're going to be ushered into. Everything you needed to know about the current phase and where we're going all happens in the first 15 minutes of this movie. And I'm about to spoil it for you guys because I think it's worth just talking about and getting out of the way, because I'm going to save you guys time. And if you haven't watched this movie, there's no reason to watch it. Unless you're like me and you have to see all the Marvel movies, and by all means, go watch it. But within the first 15 minutes, which was a very messy 15 minutes, because they were throwing so much at you, you had to really pay close attention. We finally get back to the Indian Ocean where we left off with the Eternals and the Celestial hanging out from the Indian Ocean. For the longest time, I'm saying they have not gone back to that area. We don't know what's going on in that area. When are we ever going to get an explanation as to what's happening in that area? So now they're referring to that thing as an island. So that is now an official body of land, a mass body of land that a lot of the countries have access to. And they're working out certain treaties with certain nations, and that you're allowed to go there and do what you're doing. And what are they doing? They're mining. They're all diving in, they're all digging, and they're all trying to figure out what's happening in this celestial being. And they found a material, a mineral that's going to change the landscape of the MCU moving forward and usher in, fan favorites and all that stuff. And it has been official that adamantium is now officially part of the MCU. All this vibranium stuff from Wakanda, still there, because Cap's new suit, Anthony Mackie's rocking new vibranium armor from Wakanda. He's got the same powers like Black Panther does, in absorbing all the energy and being able to release it. We still got that, but guess what? We now have adamantium. So, when you have a new resource that could lead to multiple possibilities and all this kind of stuff, of course there's going to be a bidding war for it. Who owns it? Who's gonna control it? Sounds familiar? Kind of sounds like oil, because it's a new resource that a lot of people can do a lot of things with and can cost a lot of money and can be very profitable. So, we have to harness it and control it. And this becomes like the big plot point for the entire movie, where you have the new president, President Ross, brilliantly played by Harrison Ford. And I'll say this, Harrison Ford acted his ass off in this movie. He didn't phone it in. He put in a lot of, I got a lot of Air Force One vibes with him being the president. There was even one particular scene where he's talking and he's all gruff and like, get off my plane. Well, he doesn't say that. Give me my adamantium. And he's wearing an Air Force One jacket. I'm like, oh, Easter egg, Air Force One, right? So he's now the one who wants to control all the adamantium. Outside, he's like, I want to work with you, Japan. I want to work with you. We should share our resources. But at the end of the day, I need it all. We need it. We need to control it. But at the same time, he's like, come over here, Cap. I know I've been very unfair to the Avengers. I've been very unfair to you guys. I've been trying to control you guys for the last movies, trying to prevent you guys from going off the rails and all doing these things you do and being a menace to the nation, blah, blah, blah. I need your help. And you, Cap, I'm assigning you to form the new Avengers. We need a new Avengers team. A new Avengers team? What? I don't know can I trust you? Can I not trust you? Blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. So, boom. In the first 15 to 20 minutes, we were given an idea of what is to come and what we need to expect for future movies and the future phase of what we're in right now. 1, adamantium. 2, new Avengers team going to be formed sometime soon. Who they are, we don't know yet. Right? The celestial thing, that's the gold mine of where adamantium is found. So what's that going to mean when Galactus sees that? Oh, wait a minute. They've got adamantium. Oh, on the planet. Oh, I'm hungry. So we'll see what happens with all that. The rest of the movie was just mishmash of like these like political shows that you see where it's just like a war of like who's going to control the adamantium. This guy's trying to do this, that guy's trying to do that. We got to fight against these guys because they're trying to break in and blah, 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 blah. Boring. In the anime world, this is what we call a filler episode. This is a filler movie where we got a little bit of what we needed to know, but the rest of it was just elongated. It was an elongated Disney Plus series episode. And that's really what it felt like. I felt like I was watching uh, a bonus episode of Captain America and Winter Soldier. That's all it was. And I don't want to knock the performances because I think overall the performances were decent. I still think Anthony Mackie is very cool as Captain America. I like his new guy, the new Falcon that we got. Young Buck. He's cool. The guy who plays Isaiah Bradley was also very cool and all that. We got another new little operative, little tiny thing. She was a former widow, so she has all the training and all that, but her character and personality wasn't that great, in my opinion. Shout out to Josha Rockmore, who was the right-hand man to Harrison Ford, to Ross. Shout out to her because I'm friends with her. I know her. I spent a weekend in Cancun with her at a friend's wedding. Drank with her, laughed with her. It's nice to see someone that you know in a Marvel movie. And I think that's awesome. However, her performance in the movie, that's not the Josha I know. Very demurred, very, very diluted. We have a joke. We call her DMX because she has a very rough voice and all that. And I'm sure when you see her in interviews, it comes out. You could see it. But she was talking very low, very kind of professional, But her acting was a little bland, I don't want to say it's her fault. I kind of blame the directing because the directing of this film was also, I think, in my opinion, very poor. The too many quick edits. The action scenes was very Born Identity light, where it's just like too many close-ups, too many cuts. You can't see the full things in totality. And it's like a faux excitement when these action scenes are starting to happen. Because you get into it and then you're just like, oh, what's happening? Oh, okay. Oh, it's done. Oh, there you go. We just had a fight scene. Some of the CG and the special effects were very, very weak, in my opinion. Like it stood out certain moments of the film. So, needless to say, I was very disappointed about it overall. I really was. And this is not what we needed from Marvel at this point in time. We needed them to hit a home run. We needed them to be something very impactful. And we didn't get it. Now, I know a lot of people saw this, and there are some people out there who enjoyed this movie, and that's great. I saw a friend's post saying, hey, we need to support black superheroes. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong about those aspects in this movie. Nothing at all. It's just the movie itself was just badly made. Badly written, badly directed. The editing was very messy and clunky. Even though you got everything you needed to know in the first 15 to 20 minutes, that first 15 to 20 minutes was extremely all over the place. They threw so much at you. If you weren't there paying as close attention as you can, you'd be completely lost. But also at the end of the day, I have to say this. The movie just wasn't fun. I didn't find it fun. I didn't find it entertaining. Like there were some moments, oh, that's cool. Oh, I like that. The best part of the movie was like halfway through, we got to see Bucky show up. Bucky showed up. They had a little conversation. They still have that great chemistry back and forth together. But when you see that, that's what you realize. Oh, that's what this movie's missing. We're missing that. We're missing chemistry. I feel like there's no chemistry anywhere. People are just placed in here. And even though I like the new guy, the new Falcon that we have, there's still a lack of a certain chemistry between the two. And there was no chemistry with this new lady that they introduced in the movie. Harrison Ford was mainly just being presidential and getting angry. And then when he finally turned into the Red Hulk, it's just like, all right, that's cool. But it was also kind of unbelievable to think that Captain America can go toe-to-toe with Red Hulk and he's the one that's going to stop him. I thought it was a missed opportunity to kind of bring in our Hulk. Hey, Banner, we need help. What do you know about this? I'm on my way, Cap. Or blah, 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 this and that. You know? Maybe it's a good thing because sometimes these movies have too many characters in there, or whatever the case is. But when you're introducing another Hulk in the MCU, you would think it would make sense to be like, hey, we already have a Hulk. Maybe he knows how to handle this situation. Maybe he can help me out. Nothing. This movie actually did the opposite. It tried its hardest to really keep itself away from any other character or any other portion of the MCU. Yeah, there's a running joke about meeting Ant-Man and all that, but they tried their hardest not to be like, well, I know a guy who can do this, or I know someone like that, blah, 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 this and that. They referenced even the original Hulk movie in the MCU in this. You know, they go back to the whole incident that happened in Harlem with Abomination and the Ed Norton Hulk going toe-to-toe. They reference it several times. So you would think, why didn't they bring in the Hulk anyway? Right? And how fitting would it have been? General Ross as Red Hulk, now having to have to go toe-to-toe with Bruce Banner. You know, who it was Ross that caused the whole Abomination thing and caused the incident in Harlem, that caused that rift between him and his daughter, played by Liv Tyler, who, by the way, shows up at the very end of the movie for half a minute. Wasted opportunity. And it felt like, at the end of the day, what were they really trying to do here? You know? It was very frustrating. And hence why I call it, I'm very frustrated with the MCU right now. Because this movie is basically, in my opinion, the epitome of my frustration. You know, you cause excitement because of something, because we haven't gotten a proper MCU movie in a long time. You're building on a new phase, and you're trying to get people interested and excited again, and you give us this. And I'll be honest, my theater, I saw it on a Friday night, Valentine's Day. The theater was popping. A lot of people were there. And I would say my theater, my main theater, was probably 85% capacity. Nobody clapped at the end. I didn't hear a lot of like fun conversations when people were walking out. When the credits started rolling, it was more like a sigh of relief that, oh, it's done. And yeah, we got like a post-credit scene at the end, you know, with the leader that they brought back also from the Ed Norton movie, you know, who was not even that great of a villain, kind of weak. It felt almost like Power Rangers-like of a villain in this movie. Saying, I've seen it. I see people coming, and you got to be ready. So who is he talking about? Honestly, I don't care. Could it be the appearance of all the Dooms? You know, the Doom clones, the Doom bots? Maybe. What other outer entity is to be threatening to us? The Heralds of Galactus? Maybe. That'd be kind of cool. You know? But I don't know. I think there was a lot of missed opportunities in this movie. And I felt like they dropped the ball on this one. And it reminds me of how it was when we got Black Widow. And Black Widow was one of the new movies we got after the whole Infinity Saga ended. Right? And, you know, even though Black Widow I found entertaining and it was a pretty good movie, my criticism is that we got that movie too late. We should have got that movie during the middle of the whole MCU run, during those phases when Black Widow was still a very important character. You know, and here, maybe this movie should have came out a year ago or 2 years ago. But when you have so much hype going into something, and you have so much of an emptiness, because we haven't gotten a movie in a while, expectations, of course, are a little higher. But getting hit with this, I'm just like, man. And I was very cautious going into this movie too. So I didn't have high expectations. I wasn't expecting to see so much, so that I can go in, and if I'm pleasantly surprised, I'm pleasantly surprised. But I was just disappointed. And it made me frustrated. I'm like, if this is what we're going to be getting, then maybe I'm done with Marvel. Maybe these movies aren't for me anymore. I don't know. Obviously, Fantastic Four, I have a lot of, excitement for, but I'm concerned. And I think a movie like what I just saw leads to that concern. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But even when you look at, Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic, a lot of people are feeling the same thing. I'll share this real quick here. Captain America, Metacritic. When you look at critic reviews, 42. When you look at user reviews, 4.6. It's pretty low. Go to Rotten Tomatoes. Critic ratings, 50%, which is okay. That's kind of to be expected because critics usually won't like a movie like this. But you have a popcorn meter, which is the audience review, and that's 80%. So I guess that's kind of promising. But when you look at some of what the regular users are saying about the movie, and I was looking at this earlier, it's a lot of very basic shit. One of the better Marvel movies in a while, Adam says. Mine is Deadpool and Wolverine. Strong Avengers movie. Very entertaining. Strong Avengers movie? I don't know if I could agree with that. Scott. Very good movie. Mackie and Ford are excellent. Several nice callbacks to prior Marvel movies. Impressive 3D effects on action sequences. I feel like more people are getting enjoyment out of seeing it in 3D and all that than they would have any other normal movie, right? Sands. Kind of boring, no clue what's going on. Harold, decent pace, worth the watch, but similar to many of the recent TV series episodes by Marvel. Not as good as the latest Deadpool movie. All right. Sean, fun revival with lots of great action and good chemistry amongst the cast. I really like Anthony Mackie's take on Captain. Okay. It was a good appetizer, William said. I just got stopped comparing every Marvel movie to Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I mean, I agree with that too, but when you set a precedence, like I was saying before, every Captain America movie is a setup for something major. That's just what they gave us. But with this one, I didn't get that. I didn't. All right, let me check in. First of all, Arnold, what's going on, man? I saw you there earlier. I was in my zone. Nice to see you, man. I hope you are doing well. Any updates for us for anything job related, please let us know. Arnold saying the movie was 2 out of 5. Man, that was bullshit. Well, it looks like Arnold's in the same boat as I am. Jester saying I saw mine in 3D, and in my theater personally, there were a lot of good reactions. Okay, that's good then. PDQ saying the same for him as well. Again, I think a lot of people are reacting to the spectacle of the movie, which is very easy to get lost into. It's very easy to get lost into, like, oh, that's cool. Oh my God, that's amazing. Especially if you're seeing it in 3D, right? And maybe it's my own fault because I do this for a living now. I analyze and I watch so many different movies all together that when something is off, I can feel it immediately. Now, you saw how I reacted to Deadpool and Wolverine. I love that movie. I was so thoroughly entertained in that movie. So it's not just the superhero genre movie that I'm tired of. But there is a certain formula that is wasteful, in my opinion. Or there's a certain approach to these movies that are wasted. And I feel like this is one of those. There's so much potential that I could see that they just didn't accomplish or they didn't go forward with. And at the end of the day, I felt bored. I felt unentertained. And on Letterboxd, I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. Same as Arnold. First 15 to 20 minutes is all you need to know, really. And then after that, it was all filler. It was all a bunch of BS. And there was nothing exciting or entertaining for me personally in it. And my concern right now is that if we're going to get this now for every MCU movie, and I don't think we are, but if this is what to expect, then I'm very concerned with Marvel right now. And I'll be honest, if Superman knocks it out of the park, I think DC has a leg up on Marvel currently right now. I was saying, hope you are good. I'm okay. I still wait. Hope you was enjoying Comic-Con. Yeah, Arnold. Earlier in the stream, I was giving my kind of recap on things, and I thoroughly had a good time at Orlando MegaCon. The convention I did this past weekend, a whole different story, but overall, it was a very good experience and a good time. Arnold saying, I enjoyed the Fantastic Four trailer more than the whole Captain America movie, and I say that as a very big Marvel fan. I will say this, seeing the Fantastic Four movie trailer on the big screen got me more excited because it looks great on the big screen. It really, really freaking does. And you get to hear the sounds and the soundtrack and this, and all that. Great stuff. So I am, unfortunately, I'm trying to, keep my expectations at bay for a movie like that, but I can't help it. I love the Fantastic Four a lot. This looks like it has a lot of promise in there. So I may be setting myself up for failure, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Jester PDQ, I know you saw, it sounds like you guys have saw Captain America Brave New World. I would love to hear your thoughts finally on it. When you have a chance to share with us here in the chat. But yeah, it's I wanted to like this movie. I really did. But it just didn't do it for me. It really didn't. And again, I want to say this, and I want to make it very clear. It has nothing to do with any of the portrayals of any of the characters. I thought everyone did what they could with what they were given. I had no problem with Anthony Mackie. I had no problem with Harrison Ford. I had no problem with everyone else. It's just there's a certain tone in this movie that just didn't get me. And I don't want to say Anthony Mackie is not made to be a leading man just yet. He doesn't have that same charisma like Chris Evans has. But you could see it the minute Bucky showed up, man. And they started having their conversation together. I felt this is what was missing. The way they were interactive with each other, like, that's what I want to see. Where has this been? Right? That's one of the reasons why I actually enjoyed the TV series, was their chemistry. I feel like even though there are beginnings of chemistry with him and the new Falcon, I don't know if this new operative, the new former Widow, is going to be part of the universe overall. There's something that's missing amongst those people. And when Mackie is just left to be the main person on the screen, he just doesn't have it yet. Not saying he's a bad actor. He just doesn't have it yet, in my opinion. So, again, that's just me. I was saying I want to come in earlier, but I was sleeping, had a long, stressful day. No worries, man. Nice to see you after 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, thank you, man. No, it's always great to see you guys, honestly. PD is saying, so I'm more into Cap stuff as a fan of the comics and movies and show. I may upset some people, but Civil War was not a Cap movie. It was an Avengers movie. Well, that's basically what I was saying before. Both Civil War and Winter Soldier, I think. Winter Soldier definitely is more of a Cap movie than Civil War, but that's what I was alluding to, where it is Marvel's fault for making these Captain America movies Avengers light movies and leading into major events that are supposed to be happening in the MCU. But that being said, Brave New World, in my opinion, is a very poor Captain America movie, if you want to look at it that way. But that's just me. Just saying, thought it was an all right superhero movie, but not the top 20 Marvel movies. Not even close. It was all right. It wasn't good, though. It was like 5 out of 10 or 2.5 out of 5. PDQ saying, I do miss interaction from Falcon, Winter Soldier. I think as a spy thriller, it did some things right and was entertaining. I think splitting him from Buck hurts the movie. Also, PDQ said, but I got what I wanted out of most of the movie when it was like a thriller. When it became a superhero movie, it was a weaker film. Okay. I mean, again, the great thing about movies is that everyone takes to it differently, which is great. I think this movie, I do agree with you. I think when this movie was trying so hard to be an action superhero blockbuster, it failed at it. But I also feel like when it was trying to be an espionage thriller, it was weak. It wasn't the same level of what we got with Winter Soldier. It wasn't the same level that we got with some of the other things that they tried in past Marvel movies. It wasn't what we got. Conclave. All you got to do is watch Conclave. And if you want to have a blueprint of what a political thriller drama is supposed to look like, look at a movie like Conclave. If this had a little bit of what that had, it would have been a much better movie. You know? So, but again, that's just my opinion. Just saying, I have to go, but first I wanted to mention that I'm rewatching Men in Black and Guardians of the Galaxy. So next week, I might not have many first watch movies because I'm rewatching 2 trilogies. Well, enjoy watching those trilogies. It's always good to revisit movies when you can. That's always fun. So I hope you have fun with that. Arnold, I'm scared where it goes with Marvel. I hope they learn something from this movie and get the Fantastic Four and next movie's better. I'm right along the same boat as you are. Honestly, the Red Hulk stuff held it back, but I give it a 7 out of 10 because it felt like we went back toward First Avenger. I also think seeing this after the mess that was Secret Invasion has me more positive on it. Okay, I see where you're coming from. I disagree, but again, we all take movies in differently than others, and I'm glad. If anything, I'm glad you enjoyed it for yourself, and I'm glad that you were entertained. I wish I could say the same thing for me, but for me, it didn't hit me in any way like that. So I don't know where we go from here when we talk about the overall MCU. I think, again, this weekend is going to tell us a lot, whether more people see this movie or more people try to go out and rewatch this movie. This, for me, feels more like Thor 2. Feels more like maybe Iron Man 3. Like, as far as, like, that level of movie. It's a movie that if I were to do one other marathon of watching nonstop Marvel movies, I hate to say it, but this is probably one of those movies I'll assign as my nap movie because I really don't need to see it again. It really holds no importance in the overall MCU, in my opinion. It doesn't push much of a needle forward. It doesn't, give us any additional more insights, with the exception of at least answering some questions. You know, for the longest time, we were wondering what's happening with that damn celestial in the Indian Ocean, and we finally understood. All right, cool. It's a land. They're mining it. Adamantium. Awesome. What? You want to form a new Avengers team? Okay, now we know what the main focus is going to be moving forward. And it's going to be Mackey's Captain America to lead the way. Who will the Avengers team be? That'll be a great show next time to kind of like guess who's going to be part of the new Avengers, right? Then that's it. The rest of the movies, nah. You know, Bucky is off trying to be a senator somewhere, and I'm sure we're going to learn more about that in Thunderbolts. You know, but that's really basically it. So, the scriptwriter must eat a cheesesteak sandwich. Arnold, you just reminded me of something. So during my road trip, during my drive, you'll be happy to know that one of the meals I had on my drive was I got myself a really nice cheesesteak sandwich from Wawa. And I have to say, it was glorious.
Yeah!
It was so yummy and so tasty. If you are ever in the United States and you do road trips, there are certain places you need to visit. Wawa, because they have some of the best sandwiches you'll ever have. Bucky's, like I was praising them earlier in the stream. Love Bucky's. Those are just some of the places you have to check out. One thing you should never check out is Bojangles if you're in the South, because those places are never fucking open. They lie to you on Google. I hate them. I went to 2 Bojangles. They said they were going to be closed at 10. I went there between the time of 9 and 9:20. Both Bojangles was closed. Mad at you, Bojangles. Not cool. So, I would say, yeah, more like Iron Man 3. Thor 2, I have tried, and it gets worse with each watch. I have not tried to go back to it. I think, the last time I saw Thor 2 was during that marathon I went to. That was leading into, was it Age of Ultron? Yeah, I think at that time it was Age of Ultron. So yeah. But Iron Man 3, this gave me a lot of Iron Man 3 vibes. You know? Yeah, more like, no jangles. You got that right. Arnold's asking, have you seen how in the comics the Young Avengers are called champions? And they say that they want to go in the direction of the movies with Spider-Man, that he becomes the head of the Young Avengers. I have not seen that. Honestly, I have not had a chance to really read comics a lot these days. I always just, wait for my friends to tell me or recap things for me. So I have no idea what's happening in the comics right now. I do agree that we are moving towards a Young Avengers group. So I'm pretty sure this new Avengers team will be comprised of Young Avengers, with Anthony Mackie kind of like leading the way. So I can totally see that happening. I won't be surprised if in that mix we get Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop. We're gonna get Cassie Lang. Her version of Ant-Man or Wasp, or the mixture of the two. That's gonna be a part of it. What's happening to Hulk's son, who has been MIA since the end of She-Hulk? We don't know what's happening with that dude. Stupid stuff. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll be honest. I think the way things are moving, I'm definitely going to wait to see what happens with Fantastic Four. But I think the characters that are going to be more appealing now in this current phase that we're in are the grounded characters. So if Daredevil Born Again is amazing, there's going to be a renewed interest into that side of the Marvel universe. Daredevil, Punisher, Spider-Man will always be a major interest, right? So I think the more grounded, non-crazy space mythical, side of the MCU, I think the grounded stuff is going to be very, very well regarded moving forward. Even though Fantastic Four deals a lot with like time travel and other dimensions, they do a lot of grounded stuff. So I could see that being a nice solid base. Thunderbolts, again, another grounded group of people there. So that's going to be really interesting. If that does really well, I think the renewed interest will be for more of the grounded characters in that side of the MCU. They need to figure out what they're going to do with everything else, because it's just not working right now. And I think we will not know until X-Men officially gets introduced to the MCU how people are going to react to all that. Because right now I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, but it's kind of scary right now where Marvel is. So we'll see what happens, but they have a lot of things they need to do to get our fates back into the whole situation. So PDQ say, I just want my dude Pug from She-Hulk to return with his sneaker collection. The rest of that show we can go on without. So it's funny. So one of the big things that one of the conversations I had at MegaCon with my friends there is that we're talking about this whole MCU and why it feels so off and why it feels so all over the place. And the one thing that he brought up, and he's brought this up before, and I want to see what you guys feel. He thinks it was a major, major mistake that at the end of Endgame, right? When everyone's back and yeah, we lost some people, Tony's dead and all that, it became an homage to the entire movie series, right? Everyone showed up at the funeral for Tony, right? Yet all the different characters and families from all the movies, from all the different facets of the Marvel Universe. They even brought back that one kid that he ran into in, was it Iron Man 3 or whatever the case is, right? They were all there. And then during the end credits and everything, it was like a send-off, right? It's like, you know, Jeremy Renner with his signature, Hawkeye, you know, Chris Evans with his signature, Captain America, and, you know, of course, Robert Downey Jr.'s signature, Tony and Iron Man. It's like we're saying goodbye to these people. Like, we're closing the doors, we're closing this universe down. Thanks for all the hard work and dedication. Thank you for the audience for entrusting us and following the journey. We love you all. Goodbye. You know, big kiss, send off. So how are you supposed to follow up after all that? When you kind of leave things kind of like, okay, I guess this is the end. Now you're trying to get us to be invested all over again for whatever this new thing you're trying to tell us. And they just have not been able to figure that out. When I feel like a lot of people have already been like, all right, you know what? I'm done. I'm good. You gave me such a fulfilling 10-year ride that concluded with Endgame. I don't need to go back anymore after this. It's like reading a novel, right? Or it's like reading a comic series. You know, when you pick up like the paperbacks or the graphic novels and you're at volume 3, the final volume, and you finish it all up, and you're like, oh my God, what a journey. This is so great. Now what am I supposed to be invested in? You haven't told me, or you haven't steered me into the right direction yet. Because you want me to be interested in this and that and this and that. And then you're promising that one day it's all going to be put together. But none of us are seeing it yet. You've introduced so many different characters. What's happening with all of them? The Eternals, what's happening with all of them? The people who showed up at the end of the Eternals, right? What's happening with all those people? With the 2 guys that showed up? You know, Star-Lord. You're saying Star-Lord will return. Will he? Is he still doing stuff with us? What's happening? You know, it's like there's a lot of like loose ends. And I don't see now currently how they're going to tie all them up and wrap them all together. You know, it's like when we get to Doomsday, what's going to be the big thing? When we get to Secret Wars, what's going to happen there? Are you just going to find a way to just hit a reset switch and like, all right, you know what? F it. You know, these 2 multiverses are combining and now this is the new reality. Like, what's going on? You know, are you trying PDQ says it, I think, very well here. It feels like they are rushing to get to Secret Wars so they can just reboot it proper now. But you're which is probably what's happening. But at the same time, you're forcing us as the audience who have been following you guys for 10 plus years to trust that we're going to get to that point where we could finally get a reboot of everything. But we're watching all this schlock until then. And it's painful, man. It's really painful. And plus, you guys are spending so much money trying to do all this stuff. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what's happening. I'm saying I love the Defenders. Would like to see more. Hopefully, we'll get to see something like that more with the new Daredevil series. I saw the movie with a girl in the theater, and she said to me in the movie, "Why is Indiana Jones going to Red Hulk?" I just looked at her and said, "Yo, what the f?" I mean, look, I don't blame her. I mean, if she hasn't watched many of the movies or is not familiar with any of the comics and all that, I too would be like, what? What's happening here? What's going on? You know? And the thing is too, the way they tried to explain it as to why he turned into Red Hulk, or why the leader wanted him to have this inside of him, why he was feeding him these radioactive pills this whole time, there was really no explanation. You know, just like, I hated what Ross is using me for, and this is my way of getting back at him, kind of. You know, he didn't really say that, but this is my way of like, this is how I control things. What the hell are you talking about? You know, and he turns into Red Hulk. He's wrecking shop. And what, he just like changes because hey, I know you're still in there. And what's Betty gonna think when all this is said and done? Your daughter's not gonna be very happy with you. Oh, you're right. Me. I mean, how long did it take him, especially Black Widow, to kind of figure out, all right, maybe this is how I could calm Bruce down so that he can, you know, get away from the raging madness of the Hulk that was controlling him and, you know, transform back. You know, oh, sun's setting, my friend. Blah, blah, blah. You know, how long did it take for them to figure that out? I don't know. It just felt rushed and unrealistic, in my opinion. Kevin Davis is here. Yo, what's up, Kevin? Haven't seen you in a minute. I hope you're doing well. Disney is scared to take risks with their films because they don't want to lose family audience. But even if that's the case, this is not how you approach it. You know, because would you call this a family film, Captain America? No, not really. There's a decent amount of violence in there. It was just not a well put together movie, in my opinion. Again, and like I said, PDQ loved it. Right? He enjoyed it. He got what he wanted out of it, and that's great. And I guess for me, I wanted more. You know, I wanted more of a solid story. I wanted more of, you know, this is the direction we're gonna go. Now, this is why why is it important for me to watch this movie in order to understand something later on? And right now, I don't see it. You know, but then again, that's just me. PDQ saying, "Hey, big red guy, the sun is setting." I would have died laughing if Anthony Mackie tried that. You know, if he walked up to Red Hulk, looked him dead in the eye and say, "Hey, big red guy, the sun is setting," and all of a sudden he just gets punched like into 3 scenes later. That would have been freaking hilarious. But they didn't do that. So I was saying the worst thing to see is that Red Hulk is defeated so easily. Exactly, yeah. I think that's how the character Hulk gets very offended. You downplay the importance of the Hulk. You downplay as to how menacing the Hulk can be. You know, like in recent iterations, Hulk has become a smart guy. He's become, in the comics, the Gray Hulk, who is a little bit more reasonable, a little bit more intelligent, right? Doesn't always utilize his anger, you know, and he's not as uncontrollable as he was with normal Hulk. That's the kind of Hulk we're getting now. So in a way, this would have been a great reminder as to how threatening the Hulk can be, especially for someone who's never experienced being it and was caught off guard. Why am I transforming? What the hell is going on? I'm scared. You know what? Let me just destroy everything. You know, it just didn't make sense. A lot of it didn't make sense. It was a little bit too easy for them to defeat him or to calm him down, right? So, yeah, it's just interesting. Arnold saying, "Hey, big red guy. Hey, big red guy. Do you want to eat a cheesesteak sandwich? Hell yeah, let's go." Gong, 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 gong. At the end of the day, the cheesesteak sandwich saves it all.
How much is them, dickless? I'm gonna come.
Wow.
So yeah. So again, I spoke a lot about Captain America. I gave my concerns about the MCU. You know, what say you? Are you happy with the current state of the MCU that we're in right now? Are you worried? Are you concerned? Are you not concerned? Do you not care? I'm just very curious as to what all of you think, because it is an interesting time right now. And I feel like, very much like the comic book industry, we are in a period where we may be in a crash. MCU may be experiencing a crash in their movie industry, in their movie and television storytelling division. They gave us too much with varied quality, just like in the 90s when they kept popping out all these books and all these covers and all this shit. They inundated the market, and people are getting tired of it. People are losing interest. People are feeling that we're not getting the same quality we got when you guys first started in 2008. So how do we break that cycle? Because eventually they broke it in comic books. It took them a while, but eventually they broke it. And they were able to bring things back into prominence. But what I'm hearing right now, currently in the market right now, we're getting back to that again. We're getting back to what we started seeing in the 90s, which is a problem. And just like any industry, just like any business, it's all cyclical. Eventually, we get things all back to where things were before. So I'm curious, where are things going to go now? You know, is this unfortunate downtrend going to last for another year or two until we could finally figure it out and they surprise us out of nowhere? I don't know. We'll see. But I do feel like Marvel and Disney are struggling with the MCU, with Star Wars, you know, and it's tough. And it's tough for fans who love this stuff. Because we try our best to give it a chance, and we try our best to defend it, but there's only so much we can do. Even for myself, I'll call it out. You know, I watched it, and I'll say, this was not good for me. You know, what's going to happen from here? Of course, I get a little concerned. Arnold saying, I'm such a big Marvel fan, then that's such a movie really hurts me a lot. If someone asked me what should I watch, Madam Web or Captain America, I would say, look, Madam Web, there you have at least something to laugh about. Yeah, I'll say this. Oh man, I can't believe I'm going to say this now. I think I got more entertainment out of Madam Web than Captain America, Brave New World. Which is crazy to say. I got more entertainment out of that. Madam Web, and again, Madam Web is not a good movie at all. But personally, I got more entertainment in Madam Web than Kraven or now Captain America Brave New World. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but I am saying that. PDQ saying, I think comic movies plus Star Wars and 3D animated films are lost to an extent because of retread and not clear direction. Yeah, I agree with that. Kevin Davis, Disney playing it safe with this film because they want this to make some money at the box office rather than turn off families pushing racial themes. I guess that's an interesting way to look at it too. I guess I don't see things like that, and I've never have. You know, for me, Captain America is Captain America. Yes, I know, I understand. He's a black Captain America now. But for me, that doesn't phase me. But I have to, I guess, put myself in the eyes of society. This may be tough for a lot of people to swallow or get used to. It shouldn't be, you know. But for me, it's just part of the story. It's just like they when they introduced us to a black Captain America in the comic books, that was such a big deal. Huge deal. And I think they made too much of a big deal out of it. Just tell a story, you know? Bring us on a journey that we find entertaining and enjoyable. And they tried something here and it just didn't work for me. So Arnold loves my hoodie. Thank you so much. I got this on sale for like $20 or something. Yeah. It's good timing too, especially with Fantastic Four coming soon. I've always wanted like a hoodie with Fantastic Four, so good timing. So yeah. So I mean, those are just my thoughts. And again, I never wish anything to fail. I never wish for anything to crash and burn. You know, if anything, it's just really painful to see these properties that I enjoy and that I invested so much time in watching and digesting that it's now struggling. It's understandable why they're struggling. I think we can all see it. And many of us maybe don't have the right answers as to how they're going to get out of it, but we just really hope that they do, because we just want to get entertained all over again. Yeah, and that may be hard to do. It may be hard to kind of capture that lightning in the bottle again of how fun it was to see the first Iron Man, the first time we got to see Nick Fury on the big screen, the first time we got to see Chris Evans don the Captain America shield, you know, the first time we got to see the team up of the Avengers, you know, in the middle of New York City with that camera panning around them, doing the hero shot. You got Black Widow, Hawkeye, Cap, Iron Man flying in. You got the Hulk hulking out, Thor with his hammer. Like, those moments are so iconic. You know, fast forward to Endgame. You know, Cap grabbing Mjolnir. Everyone coming out of the portals. Avengers assemble. Let's go. Such iconic moments. And it's so hard now to recreate that. You already gave it to us. You know, how can you recapture that same excitement, that same, you know, geeked out, nerd out moments? It's going to be hard. And that's one of the reasons why I say it's very important now what they're going to do with Fantastic Four, because I could see them doing that with Fantastic Four. Whenever we get the X-Men, I can see them doing that with the X-Men. We can get those same moments, but they got to handle it with care. They got to prepare, you know? So we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm also bracing for the worst. And I've said this already before, and I'll say it again. If Superman shows up and kills it, then I may be looking forward more to DC than Marvel in the future. But that's a big what if. On the next season of What If 2025. What if DCU was better than the MCU? Stay tuned this summer. I was saying, how did you find the Jurassic Park trailer? I thought it was cool that they bring Star Wars in the movie. Honestly, I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, because when that Jurassic Park trailer came out, I think it came out just before I started to hit the road to drive down to Florida. So I haven't had a chance to watch any of the new trailers that came out in the last couple of weeks. So I have a lot of trailers to catch up on. So when I'll check it out, I'll definitely let you know what I think about it. But I have not had a chance to see it yet. I have to do it live. It's hard to do it live sometimes because they sometimes flag it, you know. So I may do like a separate video about it, like I usually do. I usually do like my trailer reactions or my trailer park reactions where I just go through like a slew of trailers I haven't seen in a while. So maybe I'll do something like that. We'll see. We'll see. Also, just a heads up, next Monday, for the stream next Monday, I will be doing my Oscar predictions live. So I will be doing that live on the channel. So that's the week leading into the Oscars that weekend. And yes, I will be streaming the Oscars, at least my reactions to the Oscars live on the channel on that Sunday. So I'll update the schedule and all that, and I'll post it on the channel so that you guys can all be aware. But yeah, next week I'll be streaming Monday for my Oscar predictions live on stream. Then Sunday for the Oscars event. And then again, the Monday after that, kind of like a nice recap and my feelings about the whole show and whatever else and weekend box office and everything. So I will be doing all of that. So stay tuned for sure. All right, I'll remain for like another 5 minutes. If you guys want to talk about anything else, let me know in the chat. Also, like I said, if you haven't done so yet, please don't forget, hit that like button. It'll be greatly appreciated by everyone here in attendance. And it will definitely help with the algorithm and the community grow. So we will all be very grateful. Arnold, also, I don't know if you had a chance to see this because I revealed it. One of the best things to happen out of MegaCon is that I was able to get a free autograph from Kiriana Creator, KB from Skeleton Crew, personalized just for me, just because I sent her a message saying that episode 6 was my favorite of hers, made me cry. So again, I was so shocked when my friend showed up with this in hand. So it was a very sweet story how it all came about too. So if you want to hear me recap it, you could probably rewind earlier in the stream. And yeah, very cool stuff. Yeah, thanks, Arnold. Yeah, hey, it was a. Again, I'll say this one more time. It doesn't cost a thing to be kind. It's very easy, and kindness goes a long way. And I just wanted to extend some kindness to her, just through a message letting her know that I was very touched by her performance in episode 6 of Skeleton Crew, and that's what I got. So I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't gonna nerd out or anything like that, but yeah, it was really, really nice. I agree, Arnold. I also want to see more of the horror side of Marvel. Like, I really loved Werewolf by Night. I'm hoping they can do more of that stuff again soon. Especially since they introduced Man Thing in there. I would love to see them do like a series about Man Thing or something like that. I think we'll eventually get more of that the minute they figure out what the hell they're gonna do with Blade. And it's so, again, another reason why I'm frustrated. I'm so frustrated why they can't seem to figure out Blade. Blade seems like it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. And maybe they're trying too much, or I don't know what it is they're trying to do. But Blade should be an easy thing to put together. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is that difficult. I'm not saying a lot of this stuff is easy. It's not easy to get a movie done. It's not easy to get a TV series greenlit. It's not. But with all the creative heads they have working there, with the years and years of source material, how can they not figure this out yet? It blows my mind. But I guarantee you, the minute they can figure out Blade, then we're going to see definitely more of the horror, supernatural side of MCU once again, which is severely missing. I know it sounds like Agatha all along did a good job on the supernatural side of things, but we really need more horror. Look at the old Blade movies that have enough to build. Yeah, or just look at the comics. Look at the years and years of comics, Blade comics that we got. There's a lot of great storylines that can be told. You know, he could totally interact with Werewolf by Night. He could totally interact with Moon Knight. He can totally interact, with Spider-Man. It's all the same part of the grounded MCU. And that's why I keep saying I think the grounded MCU, I could see that being the potential focal point moving forward, or at least the potential high interest point for a lot of viewers. Because at the end of the day, we also want storylines that we can relate to. We can relate to Spider-Man because we all been there. We've all been the young kid confused, trying to fit in somehow, right? Trying to belong, trying to be loved, trying to be normal. We could kind of relate to that. The things that happen in Daredevil, we can kind of relate to those storylines. The Frank Castle thing, we can kind of relate to that stuff. I think audiences need something they can relate to. And a lot of these things that are happening, like Captain America, the Marvels, all that stuff, it's getting harder and harder for us to relate to a lot of these things. And maybe we're done with the whole fantastical side. It was fun for while it lasted, but now we need to get back to something that we can get behind on. And I think it's been hard for a lot of people because we're being thrown in so many directions in this MCU that it's hard. It's hard for people to figure out what they can back. So I always thought it was funny that nobody understood it at the time that Blade is Marvel. Well, yeah. I mean, that was during a time when, remember, it was almost a nail in the coffin to have anything comic book related as a movie back then. Like like anytime the rumors were out that there was going to be a superhero based movie or a comic book related movie, it was always laughed at because those movies just never did well. Never. Blade was the first one that was like, wow, wait a minute, what is this? Of course, those who knew, but those who didn't couldn't care less that it was a comic book character. They just loved the fact that it was a cool character in a cool movie. So definitely help us realize that they could make a serious movie out of something like that. And then, 2000 came around and we got the first X-Men, and there you go. It went all nuts after that. So it would be a dream to get Blade comic autograph from the actor. So would you like a Blade comic book autograph by Wesley Snipes? Is that what you mean? Or the new one, Mahershala Ali, even though he hasn't done Blade yet? The old one. So Wesley Snipes. Now, I don't know if Wesley does the convention circuits much, but if I do come across a convention where he's at, I will let you know. And that could be something that, we can do for you. Best thing to do, download the app. Go on the Apple Store or Play Store, depending on which version of OS you run, and look for My Facilitator. Download that, and you can see all the conventions we attend, all the autographs you can get, and we can hook you up. So there you go. Let me know. I pay everything. Yeah, man. I'll let you know for sure. I mean, the convention season just started, so there's a lot of conventions to be had between now and the end of the year. So anything's possible. Anything is possible. All right, guys. I think this is a great time to call it for now. I've already been here for over 2 hours, so I'm going to call it a day for now. But great to be back. Like I said, I will be back again next Monday. Oscar prediction day. So get ready. If you have your ballots, if you have your list, make sure you bring it with you on that day. And we're going to go through everything. Every category, I'll give my predictions. And we'll see how well I do come that weekend, because I will be streaming my reaction to the Oscars live on that Sunday. So looking forward to it. Again, before I go out and head out for the day, big shout out, as always, to everyone who has joined in on the conversation. Ficon from earlier today, I hope he feels better. I know he was feeling very sick, so I hope he feels better there. PDQ, as always, a pleasure. Jester, always a pleasure as well. Arnold and AKB Mobile, you know how much I love and appreciate you guys. And Kevin Davis, I haven't seen you in a moment, so I hope you are doing well, and I hope to see you again next time. So I hope you take care too, Arnold. Again, fingers crossed. I hope you hear a lot of stuff soon. I'm always keeping my fingers crossed for all that. So until next time, everybody, I hope you enjoy your weeks. Make sure to tip your waitress and your bartender. Turn off your phones at the theaters and the cinemas. Enjoy your week. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. And I will catch all of you in the next one. All right, y'all. Peace out. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.